Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm back. Yes, guys, I'm back. So I wish it is all rosy out here, but Nollywood Saint Obi passed away at 57, and the internet has not rested since then. At least since the news broke, which is like maybe 1 week apart from when he died, and the circumstances surrounding his death and all of those. And of course, the lessons to be learned are the reasons why we're having this conversation today. So, guys, welcome to the channel. If you're an OG on this channel, you will know that I'm all about us having the best of both worlds. So, you're single, you should enjoy it. When you get married, you should enjoy it. Okay? Now, why I have to zoom in on this personality is majorly because the issues surrounding his death were heavily linked to his marriage. And this came again as a very, very big shock because, first of all, death and its finality, can be so disturbing. You wish like there's something we can do. There's an opportunity to make amendment. You know what I mean? And that's what makes death so devastating, if you ask me. The fact that you can't go back to say, okay, let's come back to the table. Okay, let's reconcile this. Let's let everybody be at peace. Let's understand each other. It's very hard, guys. I think that everything that needs to be done to prevent tragic occurrences as a result of a marriage, whether failed or in marriage, has to be done pre-marriage. And if you know me, that's what this channel caters for. And because it's focused on men, that's why I think we should have a chit chat. Like, guys, who is Saint Obi? Somebody might be listening to me, I don't know. Saint Obi is a prominent veteran Nollywood actor. Nollywood is Nigeria's movie industry. He was popular in the 90s. I mean, someone like me literally grew up watching him. And he had done well over 150 movies, right? He came into prominence in the production of a popular filmmaker called Zeb Ejiro. And the guy is just amazing, as you can see, like, build. We don't know his personal life. I didn't know his personal life at all till the news broke that he passed away. He actually passed away on the 7th of May, but the news broke a week after. And they said it's because of the surrounding issues around his death. Things that had to do with siblings and, just family issues, guys. Well, not just, family issues. And those are kind of very, very, very interesting things. I would like to read from my phone. I had downloaded, or rather screenshot, a conversation that somebody very close to him wrote. Somebody also in the Nollywood industry, which is Zeke Okafor, who is a filmmaker who had, some sort of rapport with him. And, spoke with him as well, like months before, his passing and what he had to say. And then I will also share what some other people have said on the other side, because he always say, make sure you hear both sides of every story, right? So I also have from the other side what some people who are in-house kind of people have said from his wife's side. Since his wife have not spoken up, or rather his ex-wife now, right, hasn't spoken up about his death. Now, Saint Obi was such a prominent person. He was that hunk you would like to see. But he disappeared from the movie industry, from the 2010s downwards. I'm not even sure he had done any movie. Like, he left the industry, left us asking for more. And we didn't hear he died. But so he was existing. And, reading this will bring some things to fore about what could have happened, right? So we can deliberate on them and then take away the lessons. So I would go straight away and read it. Don't worry, I'm a very good reader. Just listen. So he titled it, that's Zeke Okafor, the filmmaker who wrote a whole tribute that has caused a lot of reviews online, right? He entitled it The Marriage and Death of Saint Obi. His social life was blunted, whatever that meant, perhaps by his reticent disposition. His persona, two-dimensional. To a distant public, he was upscale and cool. His manly bearing spoke loud. His on-screen image ironically amplified some idiosyncrasies, heroics, romantic adventures, and traits that did not gel with the mortal privacy that airily defined his quiet and lonely life. Saint Obi, real name Obi Nawafo, was shy, almost bordering on timidity and insecurity. He cherished the pleasantly tranquil interactions among a few friends. He could vanish at any outburst that could upset the poise of such small meetings. As he repeatedly told me, he just wanted to live a cool, quiet, and fulfilled life. But has he lived this cool and fulfilled life he envisioned? I have my doubts. I tell Saint's story here with painful tears in my eyes because he was a star, a superstar whose life turned out a gleam of irony. Yes, it was this stardom that fetched him his much professed financially strong and powerful wife. And their wedding, that solemn ritual of love, would drastically alter the course of his life and tragically yank him off the creative community that threw him up for the wife to capture and indeed conquer. Remember, this is somebody's opinion, right? Their marriage was at best a dramatization of love. It was quick. He barely told us that he found a wife. Then the marriage happened. It was something of a mystic. Only those involved understood the historics that played out. None of us who were his closest pals, who worked with him through the crucible to the crest of his career in Nollywood, none of us were invited. The distance between us and the guy I admiringly called Saint of the Storm had begun. This gulf would widen with each year. We saw him perhaps once in a year after this marriage. So he's insinuating that he became withdrawn more after his marriage. So this whole disappearing for the movie industry, could have happened around this time that he's talking about. And life actually seemed to have given him a fair shake of the dice. He dressed well, drove big cars, and even his skin, in literal lingo, spelled wellness. The Saint will be blessed with 3 beautiful children, but not on one occasion were his friends in Nollywood invited for christening or birthdays. We were told that his wife was one of the topmost hierarchy in telecom giant MTN. But even if the celebrations were designed to be a rendezvous of the elites of the technocrats that his wife chiefly belonged, you expected that Saint to reach out to a few of his fellow creatives, for even if they would herald his small beginnings, there could be no tinge of shame to it because we all have our journeys and our stories. And even at that, the actor or cynist in Nollywood is by no means poor. But more tragic is the fact that his marriage did not only take away Obina from his friends, it took him away from Nollywood. Saint stopped acting, absconded from his career and perhaps his calling. It would seem prognostic now. Yes, because I recall leaving my house in Lagos mainland for his massive office in Lekki, Victoria Island, Lagos. It was about 6 years ago. There, I demanded to know why my friend abandoned our industry. He told me with his usual shy expressions that he wanted to focus on some businesses and also to work behind the camera. Right? Because his visage was unconvincing to me, I told him in stark terms that whatever his new vision and pursuit, he must not abandon the trade that made him who he was. It took another 3 years for Saint to return to his homies. But when he did, some of the deeply disappointed ones sniggered behind him. This was because of the simmering rumors of cracks in his marriage that had hit home. Okay? And though secretive in his ways, he knew it was time to open up, and he did. Quoting him now, "I do not know why my wife's siblings see me as a gold digger. They confront me, harass and fight me in my own matrimony, and my wife did nothing to stop them. I work hard, I earn my money. I have never depended on my wife," he lamented, eyes blood with tears. You could tell he was in deep pain. By the next visit, the Saint returned with a deep cut from knife on his left eye. His wife's brothers, he said, scaled the wall fence of their house to attack him. They were captured by hidden closed-circuit television, CCTV installed for surveillance and security, he revealed. He reported them at the police station and subsequently acquired a gun to defend himself. This effectively marked the beginning of the end of his marriage and perhaps Saint Obi's long walk to a sad end. He moved out from his marital home to a new house to begin the reconstruction of his destiny, alone, without his wife, and worse still, without his 3 beautiful children. Meanwhile, his wife went to the place to defend her siblings, using her financial power to manipulate the cause of justice. Saint stated unequivocally. The wife also sued for divorce, not in Lagos, but in Ogun State, as Saint put it. It was, in quote, "It was to make the journey difficult for me. But I will not bend, neither will I break. I will fight with my last blood to take custody of my children. They love me and they know it will be hard for me to live without them. The divorce is not an issue. My marriage has long been over," end of quote. He said with a mix of courage and quaky heart that betrayed his distress. About mid last year, which was 2022, however, Obina took ill, but he told no one. He simply became scarce. He was in and out of hospital, we would later learn. He sold 2 of his 3 big SUVs to take proper care of his health and to acquire 6 Camry cars he would use for Uber. But his vanishing health continued unabated. He seemed to have a premonition of his own passing as he wept repeatedly about not seeing his children. He emaciated. Life took a grim picture. When I saw him by chance in January 2023, the dude called Saint looked 15 years older than his age. His macho cut had shrunk. His fat wallet was gone. What was left was only his fat wheel. His eyes seemed lost in their sockets. This would be the first time I would see him. Saint snuck out of Lagos to hang in with his sister in Jos. He told no one. But a month ago, in April precisely, the once delightful actor who brought joy to many a home broke his icy silence. He called our mutual friend in the US to give him a devastating message. He was on a deathbed, he said, and wanted our friend to pray for him. Beginning of quote, "It's not looking good. Pray for me," he appealed passionately. His next call came on May 1st, 2023, this time to his mentor, the man who made him a star in his productions, Zeb Ejiro OON. He told him with a wavering voice that he had had 3 surgeries but was still in the hospital in Jos. So he averred again that his situation was not looking good, that he's also in deep pain, distress that he could not see his children, but still, he begged him not to tell anyone about his ailment. Such was the life of this creative hermit, a lonely trooper. I was the first to hear the news of his death late on Sunday, May 7th. Having confirmed it, I called Zeb Ejiro. In quotes, "I have a very bad news, my brother Zeb." I began. He responded, "What is it? What is it?" He asked anxiously. "A big star has fallen in Nollywood." Zeb broke down in tears. I hadn't said who it was, but sobbing helplessly now, he said, "Don't tell me it's Saint Obi." Sadly, he was right. May his soul find peace. This was written by Zeke Zulu Okafo. Alright? Now, since the time he penned this tribute, it has taken everybody having opinion left, right, and center. And you know how death, like I said, death is not, the finality of death doesn't leave room for improvement. And marriage failure is also a kind of death, if you look at it. Because most times too, it doesn't leave room for any sort of amendment. But I applaud people who actually have had actual divorces, but actually came back and mended their ways. I mean, I know a few of them. Hosted one in particular in one of my programs also. All right, so let me also share a bit of what other people have said about his wife. Now, somebody called Sapphire Beauty Products wrote this about the situation. He said, "Saint Obi was married to my neighbor's biological sister. He was physically abusive. She was and still is one of the top bosses in MTN Corporation," talking about his wife. "He squanders her money and withdraws her hard-earned money without asking her. She pays school fees alone. She pays house rent alone. Saint Obi sleeps with actresses in their matrimonial homes. Saint Obi is not who you all think he is. Sorry to say, his sister-in-law is my next-door neighbor. If I tag her here, she will say everything. But let me respect their family privacy. I know how many times my neighbor and her family always rushed to their house to settle crisis. If Saint Obi's wife, they travel due to her job as a manager in MTN, she can't leave her kids for Saint Obi. She always calls my neighbor to come over. That man led a reckless lifestyle, and that caused his underlying illness. He was really wicked to his wife, and this is first-hand information." This is what the person had to say. Now, another person responded and said, "I said it that his downfall started because his wife left. Else, she would have flown him abroad to receive treatment. He got what he deserves." Well, another person said, "Of course, MTN," in response to this other person, "Of course, MTN does not or do not play with healthcare of staff and family. As a husband to an executive director, he could have received top Medicare. MTN gave him an SUV as a husband of their ED. Now, another person had this to say, "Saint Obi is the only son amidst 8 girls. He's an entitled, spoiled brat." Another person said, "No wonder." Yeah, and then the narratives keep going. People kept bringing instances of things that have happened. But, this just gives you a picture, right? So, there have been a lot of tributes, a lot of opinions, celebrities, people across the world have had something to say. His wife has been, or rather his ex-wife now, who is Linda Amobi, that used to be Linda Saint Obi, okay, was fingered and all as the reason for his death and all of those things. But from all that we have said, is neither here or there, right? So without having to dwell on, what could have happened and all of those, preparing for marriage is where the real job is, guys. So he's an only son among nine children of a family. He has 8 sisters. He was said to have died in the home of one of his sisters. This very sad ending of a celebrity icon had left us a lot of lessons. And guys, if you can listen to me, just let's talk about this, heart to heart. Okay? So first of all, as a man, irrespective of I had some things I had to write because of this. Irrespective of your parentage, your upbringing, guys, it depends on you to chart the course of your life. To say, these are the things I want to experience. This is the kind of life I want to live. It includes being able to discover who you are and be authentic about who you are, not playing second fiddle. The onus is also on you to forge a roadmap you want to design the kind of family you want to build. Yeah. Just generally design your life before marriage, guys. Before marriage, like I always say on this channel, that is what will help you know. I mean, if you have designed that, okay, today I'm going to travel to Las Vegas and I'm going to take this flight, that flight, and all that, you're not going to be distracted if you see somebody else as you get to the airport who is heading to Ottawa in Canada. Do you understand what I mean? So you're not going to be distracted. You're going to be focused. Instead, you're going to want to make friends and talk with a few passengers who are going to board the plane, the same plane you're going to probably take to Las Vegas, because that's your focus. You know what I mean? That's, for me, the way I see it with choosing a wife. Now, I'm not trying to say that Saint Obi's wife is bad or anything, but I'm talking about it, and we are discussing about this because of you. That's why I'm taking the pains to talk about a dead man, guys, right? Number 2 thing I think that you have to pay attention to after designing your life, being able to know who you are and be authentic about you, is that first, you must learn to own up when you make mistakes, right? Some of these lessons are not that, like, I'm sure of, how Saint Obi lived his life or not, or it's not even drawing sometimes from what people have said. I'm just saying on a general term to prevent these kind of situations, right? You must be able to own up to when you are wrong. And you must be able to take responsibility for fixing the wrong and ensuring that it doesn't repeat, because you have the power to, right? You must develop that, that resoluteness to be able to take charge of your life. That's something that is lacking in a lot of people, sadly. Being able to say, oh, I'm not going to do this and I know I can do this. I can stick to my plans. The other thing I think, a man must necessarily do is that you must work on having mental strength by not weakening it, by accepting traditional male norms. Obviously, they say, oh, this is what men do, this is what women do. If you latch on those things still, it's going to affect you. Trust me, all these generalized things we say about stereotyping men and women and and this feeling of hopelessness and helplessness and saying I can't do this and all that. I'm not talking about your natural inclinations, your weaknesses and the things which of course you should also be able to work on, right? But I'm talking about the things that typically you hear or you've always believed that a man should or should not do. Things like, oh, a man shouldn't cry. You should throw it away from the window really fast. I am the voice crying in the wilderness, reminding you again. Throw away those norms and traditional stereotypes or ways of thinking that society sells to people, right? Why this is important is that some of them will make you worthless when you are in a situation where you can't help yourself. You make you feel worthless and make you feel like you don't matter. It leaves you lonely. Another thing I noticed was that you must be open-minded. Don't compare yourself with anybody. Nobody is you. And you must also learn to forgive other people, whether they are lovers or wives or family members. Learn to forgive other people. Call them the slack, right? Know that we are all here with our common humanity. And strengthen what is it with your life. You have to be respectful. See, one of the traditional norms that they have sold to men is that a man deserves respect, but he doesn't need to give it. That would lead you down the drain really fast. Even a child, you can't just do it to a child anything. That's why it's even a crime to try to abuse a child, to talk to a child anyhow. You must give respect. Respect means understand that this person is a full human just like you and is entitled to get the benefit of humanity, fair hearing, make it their own choice, have an opinion. They should be able to maximize their gifts and go and grow their enterprise or their career to the longest and the largest way they want to without being inhibited. You should also be able to be firm about what you believe and who you are. You have to learn to say your truth. There's nobody coming to tell you for you. You have to be saying, this is what I believe at this time. And you have to stand by it and take the responsibility and the consequences that come with what you believe and what you say. You don't have to be wavering. You don't have to have dual personality. You're known to be this person in this circle, but you're known to be another thing in another circle. A lot of men have masked themselves in a way that they have multiple personalities. That's already a disorder. You bottle your emotions. You don't want to come off as, somebody who needs help. You just keep masquerading. It leaves you lonely in the midst of a crowd, right? So to be able to head a family, it requires you being ahead. It has nothing to do with money alone. It has to be with making decisions, speaking into your family, guiding your family to morals, communicating at every point, protecting the family, having discourse, calling for meetings, discussing with your wife first and then with your children. Let the members of family always remember your voice when they're in situations alone. That's how to be a head. Think about a CEO in an organization. You can't be mute as a CEO and not talk to your staff and not appraise them and not honor them and not reward them and not take them on vacation and not team bonding with them. You can't. So why do people do it in homes? I know a lot of men do not know. If they know, they will do better. So that's why I'm taking time to explain. Right? To be head means you must know your maker. You must be connected to the God who made you. You're supposed to have a roadmap for the family you want to build. There are going to be challenges. It is only God you can run back to say, oh God, what do I do in this situation? What do I do? After talking to God, before you can seek help from experts, from people who got you. Right? But you should not waver at seeking for help from your maker and from well-meaning people. To be a head is responsibility that men must stand up to take if we must save marriages and save lives. Now, you can't just start knowing your maker because it's marriage. You must know your maker now as you're listening to my voice. And he's closer to you than your blood, than your skin. Close your eyes and say, God, do you exist? Show me and something that will make me know that you exist. Connect me to the purpose that you have made me for. Guys, it's very simple. It's very cogent. In fact, it's the greatest assignment you can undertake on this earth. And I'm not talking about religion or about going to church. I'm about all of those gimmicks. Forget about the gimmicks. Connect you and God. You don't have to be in any particular position or go to anywhere special or talk to anybody about it. Just you and God as you're listening to me even. You must never be ashamed to say, I'm sorry, to say, forgive me, and mean it. Not just say it and not mean it. It makes you weaker when you can't stand your ground, when you can't keep to your promise. You must be willing to make things right when things go wrong, because we are all human. Also, when you decide to marry, learn that your wife is not every woman. I've said it in some videos already here. It's not every woman. So you can't say, oh, this is how people are doing it here. You should do this because this is what my mother does. This is what my sister does. No. It means you don't get it. And you should. Your wife is not any other woman. Your marriage hasn't been duplicated anywhere and cannot be. You must be able to work with your wife, communicate, protect her, pray over her, empower her, give her shower. The same thing you will want her to do for you. Teach her to also honor you the way you honor her. You have to show the lead. You have to. That's what it means to be a leader. Work with your wife, encourage her in her career, let her go to the biggest, to the height that she wants to go. Build with her the family that you both want. Don't feel entitled to anything because she also is a part of your family. Marry somebody who believes in your dreams. Somebody who absolutely believes in your dreams, who is there with you thick and thin. And please, I say this all the time, don't fall into the trap. If you're a single man here, maybe teenager, young adult, and you know you're not ready to get married, please don't start promising girls anything and start dating and start having sex. I beg you. Save your life. We already have a lot of people who don't know their fathers, who their mothers are going to the grave with the secret of who impregnated them. With pain, we already have enough people who know their fathers but don't have connection with them. And they are in pain all through their lives. We have enough people who may not know their mothers. We have enough already, trust me. Don't add to the statistics. And see, divorce is not always final if you're able to apply some of these things I've said already. Okay? Between a husband and a wife and God, every other person is a third party because they will come and go. So their opinion should also be come and go. But you must be able to seek opinions and be able to discern what you need per time. We need a sense of community at every time. Keep healthy friends. You need them. Keep friends that are among your relatives. If you're able to build friendship with your siblings, your relatives, your cousins, beautiful as well. But please don't be a lone ranger. Don't be bottling up. They told you that a man is supposed to be strong. It's not true. So please do what you can to make sure that you are at the point where you are fulfilled with your life. That's the lessons I brought for you. Let me know in the comment section what else you have heard about this whole sad event and what you have learned in the course of it. And then we'll take this conversation even further. Okay? Alright, so see you again in my next video. Alright? Go right now, subscribe to this channel. And you know what else to do? Like, because it helps the algorithm. And please invite your friends to join this channel to also empower more men. Thank you so much. Bye.